All right. Well, this is episode 0, and we're calling it episode 0 because we've had a little bit of technical difficulties getting this going, and we're just going to sort through, any of these issues and just kind of find our groove here today with this. But this is the Shier and the Shed, or Shier and the Shed, whatever we want to do, whatever we want to call it.
Two words that go well together.
Yeah, yeah. And we had this idea, yesterday, and then we just kind of made it happen. So hopefully everything goes smooth. You guys can work with us here as we kind of find our footing. But James, what are you hoping to accomplish with this? I'll just kind of pass the baton to you, and you tell us what you want out of this.
All right, guys. So there's a lot of podcasts around, obviously, clearly. We want this to be somewhere where we have a few, positive discussions on bodybuilding and try and paint a really positive picture of something that we love. Because it is, unfortunately, something that most of the time there's a lot of negativity and criticism. So this is a place for us to be able to discuss bodybuilding, whether it be the latest news, things that have happened, celebrate people's wins, upcoming shows, all the discussion that we do and we have done before on previous podcasts. And then obviously connect with the community and build a community. And that will be you guys, and you guys will be able to steer the ship and help us then build topics, discuss conversations, and basically create an arc within this space. And obviously, for anyone that's new out there and maybe doesn't know who I and Justin are, I am James Hollingshead. This is Justin Shier, two professional bodybuilders who are very passionate about what we do. Both managed to make it to the Olympia previously, so we kind of know what we're doing. And we want to be able to share some information, some knowledge with you guys and some experiences, and hopefully make bodybuilding a much more pleasant experience for all of you. And that's really it for me, mate. That's how I feel. And I know you feel very much the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of media channels out there, and this isn't just exclusive to bodybuilding, but clickbaity titles and drama and kind of trying to drive eyeballs through negativity. And I just have no interest in any of that shit. I just want to have a good conversation. You and I, obviously, we've done dozens of podcasts together over the years.
We have.
And I'm excited to just kind of hop on and have a good chat with one of my friends who I don't get to see very often and don't get to chat too much. But yeah, I'm excited. You've been pretty, private with the baby on your socials, but you sent me that picture of your daughter, and it's so beautiful, dude. She's so pretty.
She's really lovely.
I'm not saying this just because you're my friend and we're here on this podcast, but dude, that is a beautiful baby.
She is a pretty little baby, and I do want to keep. I'm keeping her off social because
of course.
It's for me. She's my thing. She's private. She's mine. So, obviously close friends to get the updates. And you're one of them. So
of course.
You're welcome pictures anytime.
You're the OG. I was thinking about this when I was at Tampa. I'm like one of the new guys. I'm one of the newer guys, but I was also one of the oldest guys on that stage. So it was kind of a funny
smart. It's because you were smart, because what you've done is you eked out a lot of progress without pushing things too far. And then you've allowed yourself to get to an age where your body's kind of ready to face this time. It's not burnt out or premature. I think you're really good, because how old are you now, Jay?
I'm 37.
Yeah, so I would say you got like 3 to 5 really solid, and then it depends how much hold off that, but that's like still in bodybuilding, 3 to 5 seasons is still a lot to be done.
I don't think I'm going to hit my primes until my early 40s. I really don't. I mean, I didn't do my first.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't do my first show till I was 32 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like
versus me, I was 18.
Yeah, see, there you go, and you got that's 20,
old
18 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I there's times when I go, fuck, man, I wish I would have started earlier. Then you go, I don't know. I look at my life and how established I am with business and home and everything in my life, and I know that it all kind of came together right at the right time.
Absolutely.
But I also think training age matters. I just don't see myself. I know, like, from last year to this year, I improved a ton, like quality, size, conditioning. I don't see that slowing down. I mean, if I could do this for another decade, I would do it. I don't know if my body will allow me, but I don't see why I couldn't get 15 years out of a competitive career. And I think that's the way I look at it.
Well, like we said, because you've already established smart training with intensity, then your likelihood to go longer is there. So you probably can. So why not?
Yeah, I think so.
I look at some bodybuilders that I see in their 50s even, I'm blown away. So who knows?
Speaking of which, how old is Phil Klahar?
Oh, mate, 50s, isn't he? And then
I think he's in his 50s, and he just did Masters Olympia. maybe that's a good transition. We can transition into a little bit of bodybuilding news.
Yeah. So we obviously just had the Masters Olympia, and there was two categories that I was kind of looking at. It was obviously the 212 and the Open.
Yep.
The 212 was really cool because actually I didn't expect it. I'm not going to lie, but Samir Trudy won, and he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's from Sweden. He's a fellow
Yep.
gasp bodybuilder. We've done guest posing together. He's always had a bit of a hard time just peaking, but he's got really good physique. And of all the shows where he got it right at the Masters Olympia and won.
That's amazing. I don't know where this seemed like the coverage of that show was just poop. I didn't see any good pictures anywhere, which is such a shame.
So yeah, he obviously won the 212, and then obviously the Open top three were crazy. And then obviously we had the other two shows. You had Tampa and Texas, which was a double barrel win for Mr. Hutchinson.
Badass, dude. I mean,
very improved.
Yeah, he obviously last year he was in the mix at Texas, but there was just
top three, wasn't he?
He got second, but Andrew was there, and it was Andrew and then everybody else.
Yeah, Andrew is a freak, and I was trying to explain that to people.
I think this version of him would have been it could have pushed Andrew because
condition was so good in the fullness as well.
It was amazing. Him and Chris have done such a good job.
The thing with Jordan is very consistent. Look stays really consistent.
Yeah,
and he's a lovely man.
He is just fucking humongous too.
His quads are some of the best in the game.
Definitely. I saw him in Tampa, and we're getting ready to do it's like athlete check-ins.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing the biggest t-shirt I own because I just got tanned and I feel tiny in my shirt. Yeah. And then I go and I see him and I give him a hug, and he was not small at all. He is still one of the biggest people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. He must have been in the high 260s at that show.
Yep, definitely. I mean, look at the glutes. Fucking nailed. They did such a good job, both of.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris and to Jordan. I like Jordan. We've trained together a few times.
He's a really, really nice guy. I think he's a class act. I like Jordan quite a bit. I think the only thing, when I look at this physique, the only thing I think he needs to elevate it is just to bring up his arms. And that's
a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more.
And that's not to say he's got bad arms, but I think when you look at these physiques, doesn't have maybe the most streamlined physique, but when you put big arms on a guy, it can make their waist look smaller. It can really accentuate everything. And I think that right now, if he were to bring up his arms, he would be.
It's just a little bit more, thickness through those. It's obviously easier said than done.
Yeah,
it takes you have to do an off season, actually put weight on everywhere in order to bring up something. It doesn't really.
And you're not telling me anything he doesn't know. He's probably been beating the piss out of his arms for 10 years straight.
They have improved.
Yes, everything's improved. I mean, it's really obvious. If you look at the photos from him when he won USA's in 21 or whatever that was, not even the same guy.
So he edged out some stiff competition. Obviously, Quint is from Tampa. Quint was, I think, a really good Quint.
I thought so too. To be honest, I really didn't know with Quentin heading into Tampa. I saw some updates heading into Tampa, and he looked really behind.
Yeah, because he kind of, when he starts the process of the dry out, he dries out well. His glutes go from his glutes and side leg can be a little bit retentive, and then 2 days later, wow, he's quite sharp now. So he's obviously he's learning his body and manipulating obviously those factors very, very well. And some people hide that well, some people don't. Some people are just fat. Quint, obviously, is one of the people that just pulls a certain amount of whatever last minute, and kind of it works.
Well, you know what I think? What I think it is with him, and this is something that he's talked about, and something that I've had conversations with Matt and Dorian about, who've coached him, is
staying off his legs for a while.
Well, a lot of times his flatness makes him look like he's soft.
Yeah. So he needs to rest the body.
As you fill the guy up and de-stress and freshen him up, and like you said, get him off his feet, he's just going to get harder and fill out, and that muscle's going to press against the skin, and he's just going to look more conditioned. That's just by being fuller. That's
something I noticed with myself. For example, if I lay off my legs for 10 days, they look way more peeled and full.
Dude, yeah, I'm the same way. Heading into Tampa, my legs were beat up and they were small. I didn't think they were coming back, dude. I was so scared. Yeah. I kept telling Justin, I was like, man, if these things don't come back,
where the fuck are they?
I'm not getting on stage, dude. I was honestly, I had those conversations with him and my wife. I was like, dude, I can't get on stage with fucking toothpick legs. So I mean, that was actually a concession that we made heading into this prep. We knew we knew coming into Tampa that I was going to be standing with some of the biggest guys in the
Giants.
IFBB. I mean, everybody was so big. I mean, every single guy there was 250 plus.
Yeah.
I happened to walk out. So I was the last guy. The only person behind me was Stu Sutherland, who's also humongous.
Yeah.
So I walk out after 20, 250 to upwards of 300-pound bodybuilders. And I walked out at like 225. So I think that was I happy with the look? I was happy with the look. I was happy with the progress I made. But I think that in that lineup with that many big guys, I think I was just lost in the mix with
Like
size.
I say, that we said this before, like the trend becomes set. If you take an average, and the average of people in that show are 250 plus, that's just kind of what you're looking at. And then anything else you kind of don't see, and not in a rude way, it just happens. It's like, even with like, you go to the Middle East and you see a lot of really good Middle East bodybuilders like Barus and people with that kind of skin complexion. If I see a lineup of a lot of those guys and then I see someone who's not one of them, I almost don't notice them, because I'm like, this is what I'm looking at, because this is the majority.
Yeah.
So the trend is definitely set within the show. That's why a good bodybuilding show often has like a very vast mix. That's why the Olympia is always so good, because the Olympia has people of all won different shows against different lineups, and then the variety on the Olympia stage is quite unique. But that's just bodybuilding, we're all very different. And again, but the thing is with you as well, like a 220 on you probably wouldn't need to be any more than 235 on you, would probably be equivalent musculature to a 250 on other individuals.
Yeah, so, I feel the same way. I think myself, let's say I'm able to put on another 10 pounds and I come back at 235. I think that 235 would hold up and stand next to guys in the 250s.
You only have to look at like Phil Heath was like 240 at his best.
Yeah. And I also look at a guy like Martin, who I think has a similar structure, and we're about the same height. I might be a little taller than Martin, but I know he's coming on at 235.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just musculature on your frame that's the most important thing. Making sure that the muscle is adequate, and it is hard at this stage, but like I say, you got a fresher, younger body and it still grows. I notice for like people like me, you have to be a little bit more, I don't think I grow as well as I used to, because I'm not in that intermittent stage, that beginning part where the body's kind of as responsive. So I have to try to be a bit more, I suppose, sensible now, really, of how I try and obtain that muscle. But I think I'm figuring out, and I definitely think that a lot of it is dieting better so that you don't actually get rid of any of it. So that every time that you diet and go back up, if you do it sensibly, you preserve a little bit more than last time and come back with a little bit more than last time.
Yeah.
Because it's just a building block, isn't it? At the end of the day, you just have to make sure that you try and preserve what you can and then add a little bit. Do
you feel like for you that like ideally a longer prep? Because I feel like I could even do upwards of 24 weeks heading into a show, because I just know if I'm in shape in 16, 18, I think I can toggle that fullness in the last 4-6 weeks and continue to tighten up. And I think that's really the approach I need to be taking.
Yeah, I think longer is good for people's bodies that aren't fans of being bullied, like where you force adaptation or force change. Some people's bodies respond to that like immediate calorie drop and then get really good results. And then there's other individuals that need a slow, kind of adjustment towards the changes and allowing things to trickle and change slowly. And that's, again, just comes down to the individual, and that's genetics, really, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. Well, what I saw, honestly, because like right now I was 225 on stage, and right now I'm about 236, 235. And we're seeing that conditioning is damn near the same. Yeah. And I'm just, fresher. The lines in my legs are actually a little bit deeper. My glutes look even a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So you're like, man, if I was like fully stripped 3 weeks out and
then had a little bit of a
little bit of a rebound, maybe not even a rebound, but just time to fucking relax.
Well, base calories slightly up and movement just slightly down.
Yeah, which we did. Obviously, I have a good coach. We, the last week was very relaxed. Like the last 10 days, we were able to do that. But I just don't know if 10 days is enough. I think if I had 20 days.
Well, this is why you have that relationship with him, and you can work on that. You can try it on the next event, and you can see what's what. Now you have the information written down. You know what you did, and you can always try. Definitely. And that's the great thing about bodybuilding. So, and that's why we do the shows, because the shows is where you learn.
Yeah. Well, I will say a lot of people, because it's tough, because when you don't get a favorable result, everyone's looking for a reason why, and everybody wants to put their input in. And I want to just say right now, this is my first show with Justin Jacoby, my coach, and he did such a fucking good job. The way he peaked me, I would say that is the best peak I've ever had in bodybuilding. I think I was leaner at nationals when I won my pro card, but as far as the balance of like fullness and dryness, I don't think that I've ever felt that good on stage where I'm pumping up backstage.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like I'm pumping up. I didn't sweat a drop. Like I was really responsive. I just felt like we fucking nailed it. And I know I could have been a little bit harder, and that was a critique. The judges, wanted to see me a little sharper from behind, but it was also a concession that we made intentionally heading into the show, knowing that if I pushed down a little farther, I might lose the fullness in my chest and in my legs that I had, and that newest tissue I got in my back, we didn't want to sacrifice. So I figured my strengths are being round and bubbly and small waist and flowing really well, and as I flatten out, I lose
a little bit of that, and then that's gonna hurt you. Yeah.
And if I was completely fucking razors from behind, would my pop and flow had been there? Could I have stood next to these bigger guys? Like maybe we didn't play it right because obviously it didn't go my way. But that was the approach we took because we wanted to make sure that the improvements I made were on display. And bodybuilding is just so fucking hard.
Dude, with bodybuilding, you could have turned up like that in, say, let's say California and been in the top 3 easily because it's a different show, different look. Like, it's so weird. Like, different shows have just to present different physiques. And it just so happened that this was a mass monster show. Everybody decided to turn up at that one that was the big dogs. But if you was in a lineup where there was maybe 3 big dogs, but a lot of aesthetics, perhaps, then it could just totally shift. So it's like you can't, obviously we can always try to have more muscle and try to present something that we consider to be closer to the mark. But the lineup does have a massive influence on where we place. Like it's not all in our control.
No, it really isn't. And to be honest, so I talked to Tyler backstage, and I made a post about this. I talked to Tyler backstage, and he told me that he felt like I was downsized from when I won Chicago, that I didn't have the size and fullness I had. And objectively, it was just wrong. And I think I took it a little too personal because, you're emotional at that time. You just got your fucking ass kicked. And then some guy's like, yeah, you didn't get any better, dude. That's why you bombed. And at the time I was like, man, fuck you. Obviously you pour everything into it, and then that progress means so much to you. But, the reality is Tyler had not seen me in a lineup with guys that big. So I probably did look downsized. I probably did look smaller than I had when it was just me standing next to John De La Rosa.
At the end of the day, it's like optical illusions. You see what's presented in front of you. And if there's guys that are just humongous, then it has that effect. Unfortunately, I've had it. I've stood next to like Bonac and Andrew, and it's hard to stand next to them because of the muscularity they have. But then I've been in other lineups where they're not present, and I look like the big guy.
Right.
It's
I mean, at Chicago, I and this kind of stings a little bit because I felt like John I don't think John was as good as when I beat him in Chicago. And I know that I was much better than I was in Chicago when I beat John. And John ended up in top 6 or 7. He was in that first call out. So there's a part of me that goes, dude, I deserve to be there next to this guy. I've already beat this guy. But it doesn't do me any good, and I to focus on that. But I think for me, just to have had that experience, I think is good. Getting humbled
it has to happen.
And it's never happened to me before, dude. I've never not been in a first call out. I usually just win the shows I'm in. I won nationals. I won my pro debut. And I think there was a part of me that felt like I was immune to landing in the second call out and getting my ass kicked. I never thought it could happen. And now I'm like,
I did a short video this other day. I got like this little series on my YouTube called The Locker Room Talks. And I was saying about losing is great because then you know if you're really built for this and if you actually love it. They said, do you love it or do you love the winning? Because with bodybuilding, you can't just love winning because you're not always going to win.
Yeah.
So the fact that you got more fire now and you're like hungry to progress and improve, that's the real reason to bodybuild. And it will lead to more wins because as a byproduct of being committed, you get wins. It just takes time. And the only thing that's sour and hurts is, like you say, when you've been on the Olympia stage and you're considered one of the best in the world, and then all of a sudden people they may not even say it, but you feel like people now think you're not one of the best in the world. And you're like, I am one of the best in the world, and I just got to get the right day because that's all it is, and I will be back. you know?
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt like it put me into a deficit in my career.
But you know what? That little bit of deficit, we all rise from the ashes, man. And
Yeah.
that's how you know that someone's actually built for this or not. So this next part of your chapter is actually one of the most important parts as an individual and as a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
because this paints a lot of your picture and who you are.
Brother, I'm telling you, I needed it because I think there was a part of me, whether it was subconscious or whatever, maybe I just thought I was better than I was, or I was maybe a little more special than I was. And I think it's perfectly okay to like get kicked in the teeth and then go, hey man, you can get your ass kicked and at any day. I thought I was my best. I think objectively that was the best I've ever been on stage, and I got my ass handed to me. So
The only way you can unlock new levels of yourself, your own abilities, is to have that happen. You know,
yeah,
that's the truth. And for any of us that think we're untouchable, it's never a healthy thing. The best thing that we can have is something like this to make sure that we're in check, and that when we're in check,
humbled.
and it's perfect. It's fine, because you'll wake up the following day and you're like, I'm not done. And that's all it takes. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, I had a lot of people asking me, hey, why aren't you doing Texas? And I'm thinking, well, it wasn't enough in Tampa, and it was the same lineup of guys, actually more guys in Texas, same judging panel in Texas. And I think I didn't know at the time if I could have just stomached another,
Yeah,
second
no,
call
I have
out.
the feeling I've done that.
I was so heartbroken. I was like, I can't stomach it. Maybe I could have peaked a little bit better, got a little sharper, but ultimately, dude, it just, what I had isn't enough, and I got to fucking fix that. So I went home and I got to work.
There's emotions at play with bodybuilding shows.
Yeah.
You know, when I did the Arnold and I went from being 5th to 8th this year, I was really pissed off, not because of the placing, but because of the look. And then that's why I was like, I'm
Yeah.
doing Detroit because I need a little bit of redemption. I don't know if I can win it, but if I can place well and beat some good bodybuilders, then I'll be able to go away for a little while and not feel like I've fucked up.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't got top 3 in Detroit against that quality lineup, I probably would be in a worse place than I am now. But at the same time, it gave me what I needed to put the energy into trying to get to that show, and I delivered to a degree. It still was only at 80% James, but it was better than the 70% James that was at the Arnold. And now
absolutely.
I've had time to come away and try to improve myself because of that feeling. But your shows are very strategic. You try to protect your image. You do try to protect your career because you feel like it's part of it. And a lot of people don't consider that when you're in the kind of the eye of the storm. All you're thinking about is, how can I preserve this great place I'm in and go forward?
I look at these photos and I know that I did what was necessary. I knew in Chicago I needed to be harder and my back needed to be bigger. That right there is a bigger, harder back. My glutes and hams are more separated. Could I be sharper through the glutes and hams? Dude, yeah, I know that. And this was kind of intentional to not like push down too far. I knew I needed my quads bigger from the front, and my quads are bigger from the front. And I honestly look at my waist, and I didn't sacrifice anything in my waist. I think my conditioning is better. My waist is just as tight. Quads are bigger, and I'm about 4 pounds heavier here.
You can see it even like around like the mid back, like
right.
a much tighter back.
You see that you don't have the skin folds in the low back. I think my glutes are a little bit sharper. Hamstrings are a little more separated. But my back, my back is thicker and sharper there.
You're more sweep to your lats as well. There's a much harder lat. So the lat's been worked well.
So like I said, man, if I was looking at these photos and I wasn't happy with the look I presented, then I'd
be a much tougher pill to swallow.
Yeah, but I look at this and I genuinely think this is the best package I've ever put on a bodybuilding stage.
Dude, so if you take every pro show this year and you put out all of them, that'd win 1 or 2 of them at least. You know how it works.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah,
it's that, and that some people are just very fortunate. Yeah. Timing is a big thing in bodybuilding, and a lot of us are smart when we produce our shows as well.
Yeah,
you did choose the hardest show of the season, which is good.
I chose the hardest show of the season, but I don't regret it. And I have a lot of people going, oh, well, next year just choose a smaller show. I'm like, no, dude.
No.
I personally believe that I have what it takes to stand next to about anybody.
Yeah.
I just need to be bigger. When I actually put on the size I need, I'm going to be able to stand next to anybody. And I believe that 100%.